Testing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let me know if you can hear me. Hi, everybody. Deported as in back to Africa. Yeah, it's a question because it's a question I'm asking you guys. Of course, the answer is no, but the Democrats, they keep pushing that narrative. Yeah. See, I have an angle that I'm going with. I have an angle. Guys, let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Hello, Mel, Barb, Dexter, Volta. We hear you. Yes. Thank you. Good show. I have 2 guests. Yes, honey. I have Mr. George Macon from Urban Nerds. He'll be coming up 15 after. And then, of course, I have P. Ray. She'll be coming on about 9:30-ish after George. My goal is to have this show be an hour, no more than an hour and 15 minutes, right? You know, the title that I have today is not trending, but it's an evergreen topic. And so the question that I'm posing, are FBAs facing deportation? Question mark. The shocking truth revealed. So this to answer that question quickly, no. Well, FBA, Foundational Black Americans, ADOS Freedmen, whatever you want to call yourself, right? No, we are not being deported. But I'm gonna break that down later in the show. When George come on, I do want to talk about Carmelo Anthony, updates with that, and Kaysen Allison trial. He was found not guilty with first degree, but he was found guilty on negligence homicide. So we're going to talk about that. But more so, we're going to lean in more with teenagers gone wild, particularly teenagers gone wild in the high schools and the schools. And I have some stats on that. Thank you, Jess. My 2 cents. Deport Black back to where we have no other home. I know. But that's what they're saying. That's what these leftists and these Black Democrats are saying. Yeah. So, guys, please like this live stream, share on all your social media outlets, and shout out to everybody on X watching. Please like and repost on X. And please, guys, here on YouTube, share this video on all your social media outlets. So let's get into it. So the first thing I want to bring up that I found very interesting is this clip that I seen on X. And I want to share it and talk about it. Black, but not Democrat. And I really agree with all of the sentiments in this woman's dialogue here. All right. So I'm going to play this clip and then we're going to talk about it.
When I first run for Congress, I had this random white woman, liberal, walk up to me and ask, well, what about you isn't Democrat? To which I responded, well, besides my skin color, what about me is Democrat? And it was at that very moment that she realized that God gave her enough common sense to ask me about my values. Now, don't get me wrong, I was raised to vote Democrat down the ballot. So when I first started, I would say things like, I'm a Republican, but I'm not a conservative. But now I know all too well I am a full-fledged, hardcore conservative, and I'm proud of it. I mean, my favorite saying is I was born Black, not Democrat. But in all seriousness, whenever I began to think for myself politically, the choice was easy. I mean, why would I want to belong to a party whose mission is to infringe on the Second Amendment as if a criminal would ever participate in something like a mandatory buyback? Why would I want to belong to and endorse a godless party? Because there is no such thing, and I mean no such thing as a trans child. We have confused children and sick enabling adults. Why would I want to belong to a party that takes pride in shedding innocent blood? Number one, as if that's not what God hates. Number two, as if there's not a black market for baby organs. And number three, as if abortion clinics didn't start in the hood. Because if you think Trump is bad, you should research exactly who Margaret Sanger was. But speaking of the Black community, why would I want to belong to a party who's responsible for the foundation of the Triple K? But it's not just that. Supposedly in the 1900s, the party switched, right? But what never changed, what I noticed never change is Democrats' love for immigration and how they have always prioritized that over the black community. I mean, imagine every single Democrat leader helping you joke about what a black job is in 2024, exposing your ignorance on 1924 and how imperative the Immigration Act of that year was, how it was all reversed in 1965 with the Hart-Celler Act, how Congress refuses the advice of the Rockefeller Commission and the Hesburgh Commission, and how to this day they refuse to adopt the Barbara Jordan Blueprint, validating every single thing that Dr. Claude Anderson spoke of generally, but specifically what Mrs. King spoke of in 1991 with her letter to Congress. Now look, I'm not saying that the Republican Party is perfect. No, nobody's perfect. What I'm saying is I side with Malcolm X when he said that the liberals were the worst thing that could ever happen to the Western Hemisphere, but y'all ignore that, just like how y'all ignore LBJ saying, and I quote, "I'm going to have Negroes voting Democrat for the next 200 years, and by God, 60 years later, I see no sign of recourse, but rest assured your vote is your voice, even if it is a whisper."
Boom, honey. Yes. Listen, I agree with everything this woman says. I need to find her name because apparently she's running for office. It says here in Fourth Ward City Council. This was on April 1st of this year. However, and actually, I am going to reach out to her and have her on the show. But I agree with everything she said. And it is true that since LBJ made that comment, nothing has changed. But we need to go back a little bit because Black people, the majority of Black people, did not switch to be Democrats under Lyndon B. Johnson. It actually happened 60 years prior to 1964-65. It happened in the 1930s under FDR. Until the New Deal, Blacks had shown their traditional loyalty to the party of Abraham Lincoln by voting overwhelmingly Republican. But by the end of Roosevelt's first administration, however, one of the most dramatic voter shifts in American history had occurred. In 1936, 75% of Black voters supported the Democrats. Blacks turned to the Roosevelt in part because his spending programs gave him a measure of relief, gave them, us, well, them, those Black people back then, a measure of relief from the Depression, and in part because the GOP had done little to repay their earlier support. Yes, Black Americans, especially the Republican Party, of the Lincoln Republican Party, they abandoned Black Americans, point blank, period. And this is really at the end of Reconstruction, and it started during Reconstruction. The Republican Party did not support us, did not protect us. They really abandoned Black Americans. So FDR in the 1930s, when he was able to present the New Deal, because hey, all of America was in a depression, and you have these social programs that will help and uplift you out of your despair, well, that's the man I'm going to vote for. It's not about a party, but policies, right? Because it's not. It's not about parties, but it is about policies. But yes, the LBJ quote is true. He relied on social programs to keep Blacks voting Democrat, which is still present today. And those same social programs started under FDR. Still, Roosevelt's record on civil rights was modest at best. Instead of using New Deal programs to promote civil rights, the administration consistently bowed to discrimination. In order to pass major New Deal legislation, Roosevelt needed the support of Southern Democrats. Time and time again, he backed away from equal rights to avoid antagonizing Southern whites. Although his wife Eleanor, she did speak up publicly in support of civil rights for Black Americans. Most New Deal programs discriminated against Blacks. The NRA, for example, not only offered whites the first crack at jobs, but authorized separate and lower pay scales for Black Americans. The Federal Housing Authority, FHA, refused to guarantee mortgages for Black Americans who tried to buy in white neighborhoods, and the CCC maintained segregated camps. Furthermore, the Social Security Act excluded those categories Black people traditionally filled. The story in agriculture was particularly grim. Since 40% of all Black workers made their living as sharecroppers and tenant farmers, the Agricultural Agreement Administration, AAA, reduction hit Black people the hardest. White landlords could make more money by leaving land untilled than by putting the land back into production. As a result, the AAA policies forced more than 100,000 Black Americans off the land in 1933 and 1934. Even more galling to Black leaders, the president failed to support the anti lynching bill and a bill to abolish poll tax. Remember, Black people were allowed. Black people were allowed to vote. However, you had to pay poll tax and you had to take an examination. Well, if you were a sharecropper or you were unemployed, you didn't have money to pay the taxing polls, you could not vote. White people had money and they probably waived the poll tax for white Americans. But if they didn't, they had the money to pay. We did not. Roosevelt feared that conservative Southern Democrats who had seniority in Congress and controlled many committee chairmanships will block his bills if he tried to fight them on the race question. Yet, the New Deal did record a few gains in civil rights. Roosevelt named Mary Bethune, a Black educator, to the advisory committee of the National Youth Administration, the NYA. Thanks to her efforts, Black Americans received a fair share of NYA funds. The WPA was colorblind, and Black Americans in northern cities benefited from its work relief programs. Harold Hicks, or Hikes, Ickes, a strong supporter of civil rights who had several Black Americans on his staff, poured federal funds into Black schools and hospitals in the South. Most Black Americans appointed to New Deal posts, however, served in token positions as advisors on Black affairs. At best, they achieved a new visibility in government. So in Reconstruction, you saw Black men as senators and House representatives on a state and I believe on a federal level. But after Reconstruction, they were booted out. And then you usher in white people, more so Democrats, to replace them, and some Republicans. But Republicans did not back or support Black Americans. So now, fast forward to the 1930s, i.e., during the time of the movie Sinners, right? Placed in that time, the New Deal, because we're in a depression. Well, I'm going to vote for this man because any relief is better than no relief. Even though you're still being discriminated against, even though we still getting paid less, even though we're getting locked out of the agriculture industry. But that's when 70% of Black Americans, well, over 30%, it kind of went up to 50, 60% of Black Americans, overwhelmingly a large percentage of Black Americans left the Republican Party and went to the Democrat Party under FDR. And then throughout the years, it just increased, particularly in 1964 when the Civil Rights Act was passed, and then 1965, the Voting Rights Acts. And so Lyndon B. Johnson, quote, which is true, quote on tape, he wasn't lying because there has been no change, i.e., no recourse. So there you have it. Today, though, we do have a very large population of Black Americans, such as myself, 20%, which is a lot in 60 years, leaving the Democrat Party and voting Republican. Either they're registering as a Republican and voting Republican or just voting Republican. So it's progress. But We need more people to leave that Democrat plantation and seek freedom elsewhere because it's not about a party, but it is about the policies. Yeah. And I see George, honey. This lady is half right. Oh my God. Y'all are so extra. Thank you, Walter, for the super chat. George, I don't hear you.
Damn thing was freezing my computer up. Let me see. Yeah, it was frozen.
You're not frozen now.
No, I was trying to type something in and it was moving real slow.
Oh.
I think it's okay now. What's up?
Hey, how are you?
All right. Let me turn it up.
This is George from Urban Nerds. Yes. How you doing?
I'm all right. Let me get you one over here.
So I wanted to talk to you about Carmelo Anthony and Casey Allison, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Casey Allison, his trial ended Monday, and the jury deliberated Monday night, and they came back with a verdict yesterday. He was only found guilty on negligent homicide, which is the lowest. So he could get anywhere between 6 months to 2 years max in prison. And he's going to be sentenced, I believe, in June. And he ended up stabbing a student at his school at the high school bathroom 5 times, Joe Ramirez. So these are 2 high school teenagers. They were supposed to fight. I guess he didn't want to fight. He pulled out a knife and stabbed and killed Joe Ramirez. Stabbed him 5 times, told the cops he only stabbed him once. And apparently they found him only guilty on negligent homicide, saying that his intention was not to kill him, even though the result is he did. So I want to get your thoughts on that. And I want to ask you, and I want to ask you also thoughts on that. And I want to ask you, does this help Carmelo Anthony's case in Fresco, Texas? Go ahead.
Well, I'll start off with that. Yeah, it's going to help Carmelo Anthony's case because one thing white folks is not going to give up is their rights to self-defense. They're not going to set a precedent where people can use the Carmelo Anthony case in the courtroom. They may be racist and they may go with that, but they're not giving up their right to self-defense because what's going to happen now is when you follow the timeline of the Casey Allison case, he got into a fight with the guy first before the fight in the bathroom. They was in the parking lot running, right? Because they were saying that Casey Allen, the guy's stepbrother, said that Casey was being disrespectful to his girlfriend. And that's when Joe stepped in and they started having words. They got into a fight in the parking lot. And then it spilled over. They was on Snapchat talking back and forth and it spilled over into the bathroom. So what that does is when you look at the Carmelo Anthony case, it's not the same. It's not something that happened on the spur of the moment. This is something that could have been premeditated, because the thing is we already had a fight. So when I go into a bathroom, I'm already knowing what I'm walking into, and I commit the crime. So and they have video of it where they say that Ramirez swung first, but this is the thing: they was already fighting. They had already had a fight. He had a knife on school grounds at the time when he was a minor. On school grounds, and he used that knife. And on the video, he wasn't being pummeled by multiple people. It was just Joe that swung on him. And he turned around and swung with him. So the way he swung that many times, going into a situation where he already knew that it was agitation and it was going to be a fight, how could that be self-defense? But if you want to call that self-defense, fair enough. Fair enough. But I mean, it's so bad because you have the what's the guy's name? Hold on. I just had his name on here too. The guy from the GoFundMe, Jacob Wells, the co-owner of he's keeping the GoFundMe up, but he was, they asked him, Fox News was pressuring him, and he was saying that he's not proud of, he was just talking bad about it. But he said he's going to leave it up because he believes in fairness. And everybody should have, fairness. And what they did was they sent the email out to all of the donors, and none of the donors asked for their money back. So
Right, I did see that. Now, my thing is because Case and Allison, I believe they started a fundraiser for his defense as well. Um, First of all, no one, national news wasn't talking about it. No one didn't complain. You should take it down. And listen, same situation, knife, you used it, and the person you used it on ended up dying. It's just that in Case and Allison, he used it 5 times on one person. That's excessive. Now, either way, so the second part of the question, do you think this case can help Carmelo Anthony case?
yeah, it will have to, because lawyers always looking to uh, old cases to justify what they're doing in the courtroom. So they're going to use this case as a precedent because it's fresh, it's new, and he had a knife on school grounds, and he used the knife. Now what happens is they're going to have, when he go in front of the judge, is a thing called affirmative finding of a deadly weapon, and that's what the judge is going to determine whether he used a deadly. This is crazy though, whether he used a deadly weapon in the instrument of a crime, where he did. But they're going to try to say, well, he only used it to save his own life, not in the form of trying to kill. But the problem that you have with that is he went into that bathroom already knowing that there was going to be an altercation, because he had an altercation already. But this is white folks, and they push the goalposts back and make the rules as they go along. So, because if you notice, you don't hear any of these conservatives talking about this case at all.
No.
The judge,
I do think that Carmelo Anthony defense it was watching the Case and Allison, and if they weren't, they should, right? That's just my opinion. And the fact is that, yeah, I think they're probably going to use certain elements from Case and Allison case to Carmelo Anthony for his defense. So I think it's somewhat a good thing for Carmelo Anthony. However, I want to talk to you because you have an organization called Urban Nerds. Urban Nerds. Why you didn't send me a banner?
I did.
You emailed it to me?
I sent it in the text with the email and everything. You muted.
You hear me? You can hear
Yeah, I
me?
hear you now.
Just email it to me because it's better if you email it so I could pull it up and promote it. So
do you see it? Okay. Do you
just
see it
email
down there?
Where?
Yeah, I'll email it.
Yeah.
I said, do you see it in your text though?
I saw
Okay.
something, but I wasn't sure if that's what it was.
When you
So
say a
because I
banner, I
wanted,
think. Oh, go ahead. Wait a minute.
yeah, that wasn't, no, it was just Street Media TV. So just email it to me, the Urban Nerd. So anyway, I want to talk to you about kids gone wild, right? In high
Wait,
school.
real quick. When you say banner, like what's the banner, like you saying, so I can understand?
The thumbnail, the square thumbnail. It's a 1270 by 720, and it's
That's on the channel. Like I get it off my channel. I'm trying to.
Don't worry about it. Just
Okay.
text me the website, and I'll just pull up.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm listening.
I want to go to the teenagers going wild in this nation, right? Because so you had this Casey Allison, Carmelo Anthony. It was also a high school shooting around the same time, the Carmelo Anthony, where the black boy went into the school and shot 5 students. And he's driving around saying, I had to get them before they got me. And apparently it was over a dice game. You had another school, or I think somewhere on the East Coast, looked like 2 white kids fighting in the hallway. One put out a knife and stabbed them. Just kids going wild in high school. So I want to share this stat report because you have an organization called Urban Nerds where you deal with teenagers, right, and middle schoolers. So quickly tell people about your organization, Urban Nerds.
Well, our organization is getting kids back into the science and the ever-changing technologies. So we're working with Drexel University with a robotics club at Drexel with the Drexel students. So we take about 10 kids there. Well, one day out the week, but it's about to start being 2 days out of the week. We're also working with Temple University with the business school. We're teaching kids how to create their own resumes.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple of things. We link up with the Army with some kids. Some of these young guys, we go outside. You know, when you in your city, you go outside, you see some of them kids in 2022. You see them on the same corner in 2025. So
Mm-hmm.
I used to be against the military, but I often say, like, listen, you might as well go do something because you've been sitting on this same corner for the last 4 years. You know, I mean,
Right.
go come back with a skill or something. So we go on college tours, we take them to the museums. We do different things, but we try to get them into the coding and the robotics and all the changing technologies because Drexel's an engineering school. Because what happened was when I would go into these schools, especially in the camps, when they would bring the youth in, I seen African kids, Asian kids, Arabs. I didn't see no Black American kids, no FBA. We was being misrepresented. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of me complaining and blaming the white man, I just decided to do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I'm definitely going to support your organization and everything. So let me just say there's a little bit of stats here. So the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention data shows that in 2015, 16.2% of high school students reported carrying a weapon and 5.6% reported carrying a weapon on school property. So a friend of mine who lives in the state of California and worked for the school system, he said to me, and I did not believe him. He said 87% of Black kids in California are more likely to bring a weapon to school. And Black kids only make up 8% of California's state population, which equals out to 727,849 kids, Black students. So that's a lot. So you mean to tell me 8% of Black kids in the state of California, 87% of kids that go to school are more likely to bring a weapon. But nationally, right across the board, it is a big problem. And I want to pull up this data right here. Can you see?
Mm-hmm. Well, you make it a little bigger.
Oh, you're not this way.
On the side. Let me open this up too. Oh, I can see it good now. Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So it says here recorded incidents of crime, number and percentage of public schools with at least one recorded incident of crime that occurred at school, the number of incidents recorded, and the rate of the incidents per 1,000. So this is just an incidence of crime. So all public schools, traditional public schools, number of total schools, 77, charter schools, 74. Percentage of schools 6860, number of incidents 811,000 for public schools, 46,000 for charter schools. The rate per 1,000 students is 18.4 for public schools, 13.1 for charter schools. Serious violence, because serious violence is when you actually have a weapon. The percentage of schools 20% in traditional public schools, 15% in charter schools. Nonviolent 59.9% in traditional, 51 in charter, right? So then if you go down here, it says, you guys can see that. What the hell? I didn't actually, it has no information over here. So this is what got me, and I was like, okay, maybe I was reading it wrong, but it says here all violent middle schools 89.7%, and high school 84.6, combined 61, elementary 55. And I'm like, what the hell is going on in middle schools?
Right.
That's a lot. And then serious violence, let me make sure I have it right. Yeah, here. 30% in middle, 32% in high school. Overall, nonviolent, 84 in middle, 85 in high school. So that's a lot. So I'm like, what is going on in middle schools compared to the high schools? And then when you go to the location, city, suburb, town, rural, 70% in the city, 65% suburbs, 70 town, 65% rural, it's still a high number.
Right.
No, whether you're in a city or whether you're in the
No matter
suburbs.
where
And
you
people
at.
always think, well, no matter where you at. So people think I want to move to the suburbs. So my kids will go to a better school academically, but the behavior is still reflects the same. Now, this percentage students of color. And I'm like, okay, but why don't they ever have white? You have percentage of color. So it says 5% to less than 20%, 63.7. 20% for less than 50% is 61, and over 50% is 72. So for serious crimes, over 50% is 19, between 5 and 20 is 22, and between 20 and 50 is 17. To me, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, see,
So go
I'll
ahead.
wait till you. Well, I'll get this. Like, I sit in city council meetings. I'm I'm in the office with the district attorney's office because they reach out to us because we on the ground here in the city. The problem I have with these numbers when they do these type of numbers is they do it to get funding every year. The liberals do this. They do this. They promote this kind of stuff to get funding. You know, one thing you never see, Dana, if you in Jersey, if you in New York, if you in Philadelphia, California, they never show statistics of the numbers of kids that graduate high school every year, as opposed and put it next to the kids, the crime, right? Or if you take a city like Philadelphia, and the year we have 500 with 612 homicides in the city, right? Over 12,000 kids graduated, but they don't show that on the news because there's no money in that. The funding is in promoting our communities in the manner in which it is, and these white nonprofit groups come and get this money because they every year they have $200 and $300 million that they're dedicating to stopping crime in the communities, right? And those are big budgets. They don't show you, so it's easy to find this, but then they say, well, go find those same numbers for graduates and those rates for kids in California at that time, and how many kids graduated, how many black kids graduated, as to how many black kids got killed. So, and we talk about this a lot, and another reason why they do that, because kids are like sponges. And if you promoted more positivity, and a lot of these kids knew that it was money in promoting positivity, you know what they would do, Dana? They would rap about positive stuff. But if you give them stories of doom and gloom all the time, right? It's to the point where it's big budgets for guys coming out of prison, people to create nonprofits just to get a bunch of money to go into these inner city crimes and all. But the minute I want to go into, it took me 4 years to get into a college, but it didn't take me that long to get some money to get a check, because these undeveloped kids, to take them to the museums and all that kind of stuff, because they get the money and then give it to me. So they promote that kind of stuff. But that's coming from the liberals. When Trump came in, he started federally cutting all that crap, like cutting it out. And I say this all the time, we go to city council meetings. When do y'all promote, in a black city like Philadelphia, with all of these, there's so much positive things going on too. When do you promote this? There's way more kids to the ratio of the number of black people in the city as opposed to the murder rate. It's like 5%. How come you don't show the other side? It's being done strategically. It's done on purpose because black dysfunction is profitable for everybody but black people. And but this is why I said for years, a lot of times people don't. How many people go sit in city council meetings or understand who their ward leaders are, know who the district attorney is in the municipality living in? Most people don't know. They complain, but they don't go down and find out who these people are and press them. I do. So, and we ask these type of questions, right? Because like I said, if you promote it, if you have funding for the good kids, see, you got to get them when they're small. If you have funding for the good kids and you promote stuff for the good kids, a lot of the so-called challenge kids, you can turn a lot of them around because they follow. They say, well, man, it's rewards and doing this. They don't promote it. They don't promote it. It's hard to get funding to do the right thing.
So, and you would know because you are the one, reaching out, trying to get funding and getting funding for your organization, so you know what goes on, especially at City Hall, and applying for grants and funding and stuff like that. And I just want to show this last chart real quick. It says knives, alcohol, and drugs. Number of percentage of public schools with at least one recorded incident of possession of a knife or a sharp object, distribution, possession, or alcohol. Right. So going back to the traditional and charter, 33%, 20%, elementary, 52% in middle, 41% in high school. What is going on in the middle schools? And I think it's something happening during coming out of elementary, going into middle. And I have to save that for another day. That particular show. So it says distribution, not drugs, possession, inappropriate possession, alcohol. Okay, this is why a knife or sharp object. So 52% elementary, 41% high school. That's a lot. City, 33%, suburbs, 34, town, 36, 27. It's no big difference here. So it's wherever you're at. Northeast, 30%, Midwest 30, South 30, the West 39%. Texas is in the West, but it's still everything aligns pretty much close together. People of color, here we go. 31%, 5 to 20%, 30%, 20 to 50%, 35%, 50% or more. So, listen, I was looking at middle school compared to high school, and that's a lot. That's a lot of violence, whether it's serious or not, possession of drugs, possession of a knife. It's a lot going on in these schools across the nation. So I just wanted to share those stats real quick.
And another thing with those stats, you got to be careful too, because they pad those stats too. Because the more and more they pad the stats, the more and more justification for the budget every year to get the money.
Yes,
it's a lot. And the reason why they're able to pad these stats, because we're not down there in those meetings pressing them. We're outside protesting, doing this. No. Send, come together as a group. Send your representative in there to press them, because they can do anything, because it's budgets every year. It's budgets every year. This is us here. That's me with the mayor. That's Cheryl Parker, the mayor, in the DA's office.
Oh, okay.
So we have, there was an event, there was a murder on the block. So we had Operation Hug the Block. We would go down and take all the drug blocks, take them over.
Is urbannerds.org?
Urbannerds.com.
Urban Nerds.
It's in the it should be in the email.
Oh, you send it to me in the email, because I'm trying to pull it up now so I could just show it while you up here. Because listen. Oh, wait. Here we go. Oh, worldwide, Urban Nerds Worldwide. Okay. But listen, George, I really appreciate you coming on. I am going to put the link to your organization.
That's the DA right there.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah. That's the money we go at. We go after that money because they got that money. They got that money for you because they get like $200 million in the budget.
So this is your organization. It's urbannerdsworldwide.com. Go and donate and support his organization. He always doing great things. I am going to put the link in the description and in the chat. So go and support.
Yeah, I sent you. If they can go to donate right there, and they can donate through Venmo, and they can donate through PayPal, and then I sent you the Cash App link. They can donate. We have we going to the Black Wax Museum. I think June, the second week in June.
Okay.
We take 47 kids to the Black Wax Museum, and then we're going to the every year we get money. We get money to go to. It's funny. I got a white guy in Germany that sends $2,000 every year to send us to the African American Smithsonian Museum. A white guy.
That's good. No, hey, everybody, listen. It don't always have to be your own. Everyone from everywhere should support. So, thank you, George.
You're welcome. Let me just show them one more thing. Let me show them one more thing real quick so they can because I like to give emphasis. I don't like to tell people I'm doing something and then they don't see it because real fast. Let me just pull it up real quick. I want them to see. Okay, here we go. Yeah, here we go. This is us last year in Washington, D.C. I took 57 kids. And that's where that funding came from.
That's
And
great.
most of the funding comes from the busing just to feed them, because it don't cost no money to get an African American Smithsonian
Right.
Museum.
You should take those kids for a White House tour as well.
If I could, yeah. I mean, we get the funding.
Yeah.
We do whatever. Trump came and cut a lot of the federal funding, so we got to go to the people.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but I think you could still make that happen. But definitely, George, I'm definitely gonna have you come back on most likely next week.
Okay.
But I appreciate you coming on tonight.
Thank you. All right.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
How do I get off?
I'll let you off.
All right.
Go and support my friend George, urbannerdsworldwide.com. I pinned the link in the chat, and I am going to put it in the description and in the comment section below. What is the Cash App? I'm going to put that in the link as well, Tara. I'm definitely going to. And I see my girl, P. Ray. P. Ray, I'm about to bring you up. Because he what happened to P? Oh.
Hey.
Hey.
Happy Wednesday.
Testing.
Can you hear me? Are the headphones
I can
better?
hear you. You sound good.
Thank you.
Much better. Yeah. And plus I got to get me a new setup here, but it sounds much better. It's like less feedback. 1 second, P-Ray. I just want to close this out real quick. Okay. What is the Cash App? Oh, it's $ Urban Nerds WW23 2023. All right, let me just put this in here. His Cash App. Urban Nerds Cash App. $ Urban Nerds 2023. Yeah, it's not the link, it's just the name. All right, replace it. I pinned it in there. All right. How you doing?
I am wonderful. How you feeling today?
Good. All right. So I don't think I gave you too much information on what I wanted to talk about, so I can tell you now.
What's up?
Our FBA, Negroes, Freedmen's, Black and whatever we want to call ourselves, are we getting deported?
No. What are they going to deport us to? If they were going to deport us, they would have sent us all to Liberia when people were actually leaving. We're not going anywhere. Where could they deport us to? Really?
All right. So this is what I wanted to bring up. What is this? Why Democrats? Okay, no, not this one. Because this was a clip. This was a clip by Simone Sanders. She's a MSNBC host.
The lady with the toe head. What
you call her?
Ain't her head shaped like a toe? Like a big toe, like your toe. She has a toe head.
Oh my God. I never thought of it in that way.
I call her the toe head lady. Yeah. No offense to Simone. It's just the shape of your head. But yes, her. I know exactly who you're talking about.
All right. So that's what I want to talk to you about. And I want to bring a couple of things. So, of course, it's about the deportation, migration. So I want to play this clip. And this is by Sky News Australia.
She seems to think that Black citizens are somehow going to be part of the deportation program.
To me, that is why Kilmar Abrego Garcia's specific case, the case of the gentleman who's a makeup artist out of California who was also sent to that prison. That is why the 75% of the folks who have been sent, the men who have been sent there that don't have criminal records, that is why this is so important. Because if they could do it to them, if they could snatch students off the street without any pushback or recourse, they will do it to any of us. And to be very clear, it's going to be the people of color and vulnerable communities that are next in line.
I think that's right, and that's certainly part of why the African American community is so strongly behind the supporting film.
Yeah, we're like, we are not for this.
Yeah, because as you just said, if they're going to whisk them away, what are they going to do with us?
There you go, Coleman.
You see that brother laugh too. That's ridiculous. That like the fact that they're trying to lump us all together, and the fact that they tried to gaslight America by saying African Americans are behind are on this side. No, we're not. No, we are not. No matter where you go in the United States of America, the Negro is like send them home. Like this is the message of the ancestors. Frederick Douglass said the same thing in the 1840s that we're saying in 2025. So no, this towhead lady is lying. I don't even know what like gives her credibility to speak on behalf of us. I don't know who is elevating her to this platform to read this script on behalf of the Negro. We didn't ask her to do this. If you ask again, if you ask your own family members how they feel about this man getting deported, they're going to say, good, he was here illegally anyway. We got our own problems to deal with, but this is the lie that they do. And that's why, again, we got to get rid of black. We got to get rid of black because blackness, I guess, in a way, does include immigrants who are up in arms about this, but the Negro couldn't care less.
Yes, and she's talking about that one particular man. I keep forgetting his name, but the the Trump administration said he was part of the gangs, the Latre, whatever
Trade the
gang that.
Arangas, MS-13.
Yes, and the man out of Maryland, they were saying he has a kid and a wife, and I guess he has some papers. You know the guy I'm talking
I know
about.
that from Maryland with the tattoos on his fingers.
So the Democrats are holding on to his story and that narrative, but it's just like, okay, what is the proof? So he's in an El Salvadorian prison. I don't know if he came back or whatever. So it's that legalities that they're trying to force the Trump administration to bring him back. So she's using his situation, saying, well, if they just pick up innocent people and deport them, what do you think they're going to do to us? And I'm like, who is the us? Like, we're not going anywhere. Nothing's going to happen to us. Now, I did hear something. I think somebody asked Trump, would you consider shipping prison inmates in America to the prison in El Salvador? And then I don't know if he didn't say yes, but he was like, oh, that's somewhat of an idea. Something he alluded something to in that, but that would be unconstitutional. But other than that, like, that's not our fight.
It's not our fight. I wish they would leave us alone. That's what the Negro needs to start responding with. Leave us alone. That's not our business. Every time I go on Fox News, Dana, that's what I tell America. This is not the business of the Negro. We don't care. We support you. White America, you are not racist for wanting this deportation move because we want it too. Get them out of here. But again, because we have this people of color, you see the first thing that the lady Simone said was, oh, this is going to affect people of color. That was to build the foundation for the foolery she was about to speak on behalf of the Negro. But I do appreciate the gentleman there. I think that is Dr. Gates, who was sitting there. He said the African American community. That's why, again, African American is dead. Jesse Jackson doesn't get to rename our ethnicity. We were African American in 1988. I wasn't even sitting up in 1988. Okay. Well, I was sitting up. I wasn't walking in 88. However, he does not have that power, but he did that because he wanted to create a hyphenated identity for us so that we could better identify with immigrant communities. So cut it off, y'all. Like every time someone says that this is our fight, ignore them, tell them that this is none of our business. Don't let them gaslight you into it. Don't let them guilt trip you into it. These people broke the law. Think about how many people you know in the feds right now. I mean, I don't know a lot of people in federal jail, but I know some people in federal jail, and you might too. Did the federal government cut them a deal? No. They went straight to federal prison. Therefore, illegals are going to be held at least to that standard.
I want to share this. So I guess Fox News had a town hall, they took a poll, voters trust Trump over congressional Democrats to handle nation's main problems. So it was a mixture, I guess, of Republicans and Democrats. And Harris Faulkner, she was hosting it. So I want to play this clip and have you get your reaction to it.
Okay.
I think that there is not a single person that we can look to in the Democratic Party right now to say that that's our leader. However, with that being said, I think taking the one person who's there over a party is also quite dangerous because of some of the things that he's done. Taking away due process from folks is not okay. He's quick to call out when he feels like his rights are being infringed upon, when yet the Fifth Amendment says that every person, it doesn't specify citizens, it says every person shall have due process.
So we don't guarantee constitutional rights to certain illegal aliens, particularly when they are suspected of violent crimes, which is why we have a finalized deportation list. And it's pretty clear. And I think some of the cases that are public now, individuals were on that. So where are you seeing that due process? I mean, to even get to that point, they must have gone through process.
Due process. Okay, so let's look at President Trump as an example. We call him a felon because he has been convicted of felonies. Some of these folks, without the actual due process, do not technically qualify as illegal immigrants because they have never had their cases heard. Now,
well, wait,
with
how
that
did they
being
get
said,
here is the question.
That's fine. But there's, just like we say when someone is allegedly being accused of something, it's the same process, right? However they got here, due process is what gives them that status of being illegal or not. So without that process, you're essentially just taking up people off of the streets, giving them this without their actual process and deporting them. Now, am I saying some of these people should not have been deported? No.
Do we agree that if you come across our border in an illegal manner that you have committed your first crime?
I believe you are entitled to due process.
That is the difference.
So I guess she was going to say that is the difference, because once you cross the border, you committed a crime.
Yes, yes, that's all I've been saying the whole time. When you crawl through that hole, you committed a felony. The United States government now has a duty to capture and prosecute you. I don't understand why this only applies to Negroes or American citizens. This is asinine, and that's why we got to ignore it. This man that was talking might not even be a Negro. Could be not. But that's, again, why we must delineate, because he could be speaking to his own situation. I don't care. You couldn't care less, Dana. I couldn't care less. Harris couldn't care less. Everybody we're talking to couldn't care less, unless they're watching these weird MSNBC shows where they're like, Negroes, you all are next. As Jim Crow Joe said, they're going to put you back in chains. You going back to the plantation. They play these Confederate games with our people to get in our brains and give us a psyop to get back to the plantation. This man, again, may not be Negro, but it's important that he identifies as not being us, because that's not who we are.
Well, there are a lot of people who are foundational Black Americans, and they echo his same sentiments, because they're saying, well, at least give them due process, whether they have papers or not. And the problem with that is the prior administration allowed over 10 million people, between 10 to 20, minimum of 10, up to 20 or more million people in here within his 4 years under the Biden administration. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have enough judges. We don't have enough processing clerks to let everybody have due process, which is why you are a criminal, because you committed a crime by sneaking. You didn't even cross the border. You snuck in. You didn't go up to that, when people drive in Mexico. Yeah. You didn't go there.
No.
So it's like, especially if you came here, and especially it's like we have no record of you being here for the last 10 years. We know you came here with all those caravans. No, you got to go.
No,
there's no.
It's deeper than that, though. It's deeper than that. If you're here on an expired visa, it's time to go. If you snuck in 30 years ago, it's time to go. If if you came in through the hole with the caravan, it's time to go. Anybody that's not supposed to be here has to leave. Get the paddy wagons and start scooping them up and shipping them to the border. This is not the humanitarian crisis. It's upon us as American citizens because, again, our tax dollars are being spent on them. Our children are not even our children, but the society is exposed to the diseases that they're bringing. Again, before they had this measles outbreak in Texas, that was happening right here in the city of Chicago last March. We had to deal with that as Chicagoans. We're dealing with higher property taxes. We're dealing with more crime. They're doing heinous things. Do you hear me? Crazy things here in the city of Chicago. People are now using them as paramilitary forces within Chicago gangs. Again,
Yeah.
that is what we're focused on. And these are the people who are bringing it here. If you chose to pay your money, all thousands upon thousands of dollars for the cartel to bring you to the United States of America, you paid to commit a crime, and now it's time to go.
Right. And yeah, because I look at it, wait a minute, where did you get that money from to pay them? And listen, that's a gamble because say if you paid them 5,000 or even 2,000 and you are a mother with kids or a family or just a single person, and then you're here for 2 years, right? Or 3 years, depending on when you got here under the Biden administration, the time is ticking that you're going to be deported by the Trump administration. So you wasted your money. Like you could have kept saving your money, try to get here via a visa the right way. You know what I'm saying? So that a lot of people pay thousands of dollars to what? To get scooped up. And this is only 100 days in. And how many people did they round up so far?
Uh,
Um,
It's not that many.
so isn't it over 10,000?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not even a half a million. They gotta deputize us, okay? Deputize the
No,
citizens.
yeah, they're not. It's only 100 days, so it's like I think by the end of the 4 years, it's probably going to be some millions. But see, all those, it's not going to really. If it's over the 10 million people, it's not. 10, let's just say it's 10 million people. Trump administration in 4 years. You know, if they deport a million, that's great. That's you really doing your job. Like you said, they will have to deputize regular citizens like you and I and train us, but who has the infrastructure and the time to do that? So the Biden administration, I don't know, they really screwed up America with the open border, and not only that, we definitely have terrorist cells that came through that border that's already here. So the Trump administration is working overtime. You talk about the FBI, the DEA, Tom Homan, all those the border patrols. Everyone is working overtime to try to stop the bleeding.
Mhm. It's
Um,
like I said, it's nuts. It's nuts. We have to remember that always remember those who are watching that the rapper Lil Durk is in prison not only for those murders, but because he and his friends were getting radicalized by Islamists in the city of Chicago. When I saw them wearing those long tunics and the Arab scars, I said, these Negroes on their way to jail. And all of that came to a screeching halt. Okay, um, there's a lot of socio-cultural things that are going on against the United States and these black communities. And it is
mhm.
happening because these borders are open and we have unchecked immigration. Because what people do is they come to the United States and then they try to radicalize the Negro against the government. That's what happened
Mhm.
in the 1900s, right? And it's happening again, and it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all, and I hope that my Donnie does better. I really, really, really hope that he does better because right now I don't think that they're getting enough people.
So it says how many illegal immigrants are in the US in 2025. It says March 2025 fair estimates that there were approximately 18.6 million illegal immigrants in the United States, which is 11% higher than the previous estimate, 16.8 million in June of 2023. So the White House totes that nearly 140,000 deportations Wait, let me just highlight this. This is from USA Today. The White House told nearly 140 deportations, but data says roughly half actually deported. So President Trump's goal of deporting 1 million people a year, so he wants to do 1 million a year, 4 years, that's 4 million. If he's in for another 4 or another Republican, let's just say, and if it's 1 million a year, that'll be a total of 8 million. It's going to take 2 terms to clean up this mess. So they say an administration will have to, it says, to meet President Trump's goal of deporting 1 million people a year, the administration will have to have sent well over 100,000 people packing in his first 100 days. And on Trump's 99th day, his border czar says an administration is on track deporting 139 people since Trump inauguration. So they're on schedule.
Well, remember, or maybe not remember, but in the early 1900s, the United States of America deported all Mexicans, right? I mean, I'm not saying we got to deport all the Mexicans, but I think it was an astronomical amount of Mexicans that were deported because I remember watching it in this movie called Mi Familia or something like that. But it's about these Mexicans in California, and J Lo was the mama who got deported. And I say this to say that if they could deport all those people in the early 1900s with no technology, limited buses, they put them people on trains and wagons and got them on the other side of the border. Like
I mean, in
what?
the 20th century, not the 1900s.
I
Well,
know,
1900s.
yeah.
Yeah. Was it the 40s? It was under Eisenhower.
Maybe I don't know. I just remember the movie.
Yeah, well, it was wetback operation. That was the operation. And he coined, I think it was Eisenhower. He coined the term. He was president. Wetback operation. He rounded up. Was it millions of
I'm
Mexicans? It was
telling you,
so many.
all of them. Anyone he could catch, you were on the bus and you were gone. Okay, or not the bus. They had, like I said, these train cars. And what I'm saying is, if the United States could do it back then, they could do it again. I don't understand what the holdup
Thank
is.
you, B. Muhammad. Thank you, Dana with no data is trying to be the new coon disown. Yes, yeah, I am. I want to be better than Candace, but thank you. Thank you. So
Shout
I
out to
guess you're one of
Candace. Yesterday was her birthday. Happy birthday, Candace.
okay. Either you're a tether or you just one of those slave Democrat plantation Negroes. So yeah. Listen, P. Ray, where can people find you? ChicagoRED.org.
ChicagoRED.org. Today I have on my Chicago Red shirts. Chicago Red is the premier urban patriot organization. We are the ones who got all of this started and jumping and popping right here off the west side of Chicago, where the people are happier and the sun shines brighter. So you can meet me at chicagored.org. You can also follow me on X at chicagoredp. I am still working my way back into social media after the hacking, so you can see like I'm not as active as I was before. So I gotta like rebuild that habit again. But yeah, this thing is doing its part. It's doing its part right now. My main goal is to get back on the Chicago airwaves. I am the hostess of Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self-esteem. That show is what got the movement going in Chicago. In Chicago, like I said, is going red. I want to leave you with this last piece of data, Dana.
Mhm.
Remember I told you about the non-for-profit money that dropped, and now we're fighting against this economy. Well, more money has dropped, more money is coming. I don't know where they're pulling all this non-for-profit money from, but there are lots of people that are going to be paid soon. So with that, I also ask you all to pray for the movement, because money out of sight starts fights. We don't Now we're fighting up against the billion-dollar economy, and a whole lot of other stuff, but they are working very hard to squash the red movement here in the great city of Chicago, but we love ourselves too much to let it die. Thank you.
Thank you, P. Ray. Love having you on, and I'll see you next week.
See you.
Love P. Ray to pieces. Go check her out at ChicagoRED on X, and the website you could donate to her organization, ChicagoRED.org. Yes. One more thing before I get up out of here, guys. One more thing. I want to share this. It's another video. Let's see. All right. So I came across this video on X, and this is about a foundational Black American who moved to Ghana, and now she regrets it.
But y'all, I'd rather go back to America and deal with the racism in America before I sit here in Africa and deal with the bullshit bribery, the bullshit fraud, the bullshit scams, the bullshit too expensive, the bullshit not having no snacks, the bullshit not having no food, the bullshit electricity, the bullshit hot water, the bullshit what's that shit called that be coming down? The bullshit animals, it's scorpions outside the house, it's big ass spiders, it's big ass lizards, colorful lizards you ain't never seen before, all in the fucking room with you, sleeping with you. All the bullshit people trying to scam you when you go outside thinking you rich, so they trying to get more money off of you. I'm really trying to wrap my head around this shit. I'm really trying to wrap my head around how are Americans coming to Africa and being happy. Please comment down below, because for me, I'm ready to go. And I always used to say, if it's up to me, it will be. And I'm going to go out to Africa and make shit happen. No, I don't want to. I want to take my businesses back to America. I want to open up shop back in America, open up my dentist office, and all the stuff that I was going to do out here in America. Steady electricity. And the only time our electricity get cut off is when we don't pay the bill. And we got it so good now, we got prepaid electricity. So if we forget to pay the bill, we put some money on that prepaid thing and it comes right back on in 2 minutes. In less than 2 minutes. This shit right here didn't come on for 14 hours yesterday. I can't deal. I love the people. Don't get me wrong, when I'm outside, I'm having fun. I love people. But when I come back to reality, when you come back home, home is where the heart is, right? When you come back home, you're supposed to feel comfortable, you're supposed to be happy. I'm not happy. To live in a house where you look outside and all you see is turkeys and ducks and chickens and sheeps and old malnourished cows. All the
Okay, so we have a disgruntled FBA that moved to Ghana. Listen, she said we don't got no snacks. Now, I'm pretty sure they have snacks. But do they have the hot Cheetos? Probably not. Do they have the Popeyes? Absolutely not. And she looked like she want the Popeyes and the hot Cheetos. However, why do people keep relocating to a continent in Africa, whether it's Ghana or Nigeria, or wherever else? Go visit. Go stay for a month or 3 months before you just pack up and move. See, when you leave America, two things are going to happen. You're going to appreciate the culture of other countries, maybe their food, the people in other countries are wonderful. I went to Cuba. The people is what make Cuba so magical. So I believe it when she says the people in Ghana are beautiful, lovely people. But the politics is something else. And I saw in another video that they're segregating the Black Ghana natives from the Black Americans that move there. Black Americans, they have to buy their land in a certain section or build a house in a certain section. I don't know. It sounds like a pure shit show to me. I'm not moving to the jungle or something that used to be a jungle. Now, I will go and visit and have a wonderful time. If you are able to invest in a business, do so if you could see a profit, but you have to understand international laws, right? But moving, absolutely not. America is where it's at. People want to holler, oh, white supremacy and the racism. But when you go to Paris, well, France, and get arrested, you are guilty and have to prove yourself innocent. And that's in a lot of countries, especially in different countries in Africa, right? I don't want to be arrested or in any type of trouble with the authorities in any country in Africa, anywhere in the world. I don't even want to get in trouble here in America. But at least I know my rights and due process here as a citizen. We have it very good here in America. We do. We have it very good, but it takes you leaving the country. Now, there are some benefits to living and being in other countries. It is less stressful with outside chaos. However, everyday living, everyday life, we are spoiled brats. We are used to, as long as we pay that bill, and even if we don't pay it on time, flicking the switch and our lights come on, running water. We don't what we take for granted, other people in other countries wish they had. So you take your ass over to Ghana or anywhere else in countries in Africa and think that you're going to live the same way you lived here or better. No, you're going to get a rude awakening. I don't understand why FBAs are moving to the continent of Africa. Go visit and then bring your ass back home. See, this is our home. That's not our home. I don't do what my ancestors. Well, I don't know who my ancestors are over there. I don't care what the DNA may say. I don't know them. I know the ancestors here. And this is where I'm going to stay. And this is where I belong. So, are FBAs getting deported? Absolutely not. Please tell those uppity Negro Democrats, the boule Democrats, to stop thinking that they speak for Black Americans, because they do not. And again, it's very insulting when they try to talk about foundational Black Americans are being oppressed under Trump, but they want to give examples of illegals that are actually being deported, but use us in name. But they're really speaking about illegals. We are not the same. We are not the same. We are not the same. We are American. We built this country. Yes, we did. Not the immigrants that came through Ellis Island. The Black Americans, the foundational Black Americans. We built this country. We fought in every war. This is our land, not Africa. All right. And with that, let me quickly go to Super Chats. Thank you guys so much. Just my 2 cents. Deport back to where? Nowhere but here. Thank you, Walter. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to Mountain Goddess, Native American Indian here. The title freaked me out. The Dems are getting more and evil every day. I hope people seriously do their own research and not just believe the garbage they spew. Absolutely, Mountain Goddess. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I played that clip, because she sat up there, those 3 so-called Black intellects, talking about some, well, we may be next. We have to support the illegals and fight for them. Absolutely not. We have a teen crisis in this nation. Middle school and high schoolers are off the chain. That should be our focus. Thank you, Dre Harden says, Michael Stahan, aka Simone Sanders, got to chill out. She's loyal to whoever wants her, which between Bernie and Biden appears to be nobody. Exactly, because they use her and then toss her aside, because Biden and Bernie just tossed her aside. And Tara says, what is the Cash App? I'm going to put George Cash App link in the description and in the comment section, but I did pin it in the comment in the chat section here in a live chat. And it's $ Urban Nerves WW 2023. But I am going to put the link in the description below, and I'm going to pin it in the comment section. And I thought this was funny. Mo Dean, I would deport Dana for impersonating Beyonce. No. Oh, and Beyonce is having her tour. This is the second night at the SoFi Stadium, which is sold out. Yes, honey. And I will be seeing her in New York in May. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in an hour and 17 minutes. Love it. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate George from Urban Nerds, P. Ray from ChicagoRED, and you, the listeners, people that donated, people on X, people in the comments, in the chats. Love you, love you, love you. Have a wonderful night, and I'll see you live again Friday with a panel. Bye. This is actually my good side. This is still good too, but I think this is my good side here. Yes. Thank you, Nat, NTAT channel. Simone is ambitious, so she accepts the process. Liberalism 101, like the hat, almost look like one I have. Yeah, honey, this is a Stetson. I need to buy me some more Stetsons. And I'm definitely getting a brand new hat for the Beyonce concert. Yes. Thank you so much, NTAT channel. All right, guys.